Carl Jung once said, "You will find what you most want where you least want to look." And I want to bring this statement to a somatic and embodied perspective today, because usually what we don't want to look at within our somatic experiences, within our body, within our embodied shadows, so to speak, are tensions. If we feel stressed, if we feel tension in our body, our first impulse is to escape that tension. In the same way, we try to escape, for example, like triggers or projections or various other ways the shadow is showing up in our lives. I think the somatic expression of the shadow is not often enough talked about, and I want to talk about it in this video. Because if we experience an emotion in our body that we are not incongruent with, like when there's a part of us showing up that says you cannot experience that emotion, like maybe it's a voice from the past that tells us being angry is not good. If you're angry, you will like lose connection to your caretakers or your peer group. Then usually what we do is we create more unconsciously more distance towards the emotion. We're like shoving it away as far away as we can, and we stop identifying with it. We start saying things like, "I'm not an angry person. I'm not sad. No, I'm never sad, bro. No, sadness is for pussies. No, I'm not angry. I'm a good person. I'm a happy person. I'm a compassionate person. I'm I just love everyone." And you kind of turn into a psychopath. That's like, that's the worst outcome of pushing away our emotions. But what I'm saying is, through the emotional repression, something else is taking its place. If I say I'm not angry, then I have to identify with something else. And that is in that moment, like values like compassion, empathy, and so on and so forth. But these values that you start embodying in the moment you repress what you don't think is yours are a mask. They are a reaction to the anger. And the thing is that anger, these emotions that you've repressed, they are still lurking in the basement. They're still waiting to come out. So I want to talk about like 5 experiences that you have that fill in the space between you and the emotion that you've distanced yourself from. Because it takes a lot of energy to keep that emotion, to keep the shadow at distance. But sometimes it's like leaking through. Sometimes it's like there's so much pressure. It's like a dam that you've built, like that is built through, like to cross out the river. And sometimes there's like a tiny leakage, and something of that unconscious energy, that repressed energy, is leaking it through into the present. And there's 5 experiences that are an example of that. And one, for example, is like an overactive mind. You probably don't think too much. You probably feel too little. Like if you have an overactive mind, that means that you have an underactive relationship to your body. So if there's a lot of mental chatter, like a lot of things going up here, there's too little going down, like going on down here. And what you want to do then is you don't want to like solve the thinking by thinking more. You want to get in touch with your body. And then usually what's happening, if you start getting in touch with your body, you start to get in touch with like something uncomfortable. And then it starts to make sense, while all of your energy has been moved up here where it like manifested as excessive chatter, and you weren't down here, because being an embodied human being can be like super challenging, because there's stress in our body, there's tension in our body, and all of that is hard to experience for us. So we create ways of keeping that tension at bay, and then like in keeping that tension at bay and pushing it away, something else is taking its place. And one of these things is your mind that is chattering. The second thing is emotional numbness. Like if you imagine you're pushing away your feelings and like they're far, far away, what takes its place is a feeling of numbness. It's almost like you are lowering the resolution of that feeling. It's like you're putting in earplugs when the melody of that feeling is playing, because the melody you associate it with something very difficult. So numbness in your body is actually not numbness. It's like an emotional anesthesia. It's like reduced perception of that feeling. But the thing is, if you say, I don't feel anything, That's actually not true. Because if you sense into your body, you actually feel something. It might not what you consider like super alive or super emotionally embodied, whatever your mind is coming up with, but it's something. The numbness is already an expression, and it's hard to get in touch with that, because usually with numbness comes frustration or sadness as a reaction also to that numbness, because you feel like, oh, I'm numb, I'm fucking numb again. Fuck, why can't I feel anything? It's so frustrating. And then already the anger is coming up. Then already you're feeling something, or fuck, I feel so numb. Why don't I feel anything? I'm so sad. And then you already can feel like the sadness rising from your chest. It's the second thing. The mind is being overactive, and then like the numbness is kicking in, taking the place of the emotion that has been put away. The next thing is projection. Like if I stop identifying with something, then it's like stuffed into the shadows, stuffed into the like lower sectors of my consciousness, and I pretend they're not there. But the thing is, they're leaking through. And one of the ways they're leaking through is through projections. It's like our subconscious is literally like a projector, putting it out into the world so we can safely experience that which has been suppressed within us. Like if I cannot witness something within myself, your body mind system has a very intelligent way of making that accessible again, and that is projection. So you can see a projection. Like if you're admiring someone, for example, and you're like putting him or her on a pedestal, or you're making someone the devil, you're saying like, this is the worst person in the world, and you have like an intense emotional reaction to someone or something, also to a group of people, an institution, whatever. It might be worth investigating if there's an emotion you've pushed away within yourself that has now found its energy, and that energy is being projected into the outside world, like, as a projection. The next thing is pain, actually. Like it could either be chronic pain, it could be like emotional pain. Like emotional pain is often like an emotion that is mixed with resistance, like a part of you is experiencing the emotion, and another part cannot allow the emotion for it to be there. And these two parts are pressing against each other. And they are creating, again, like tension and stress. And all of these points that I'm talking about now, they are ways you can access the emotional intelligence, the emotional wisdom in that tension that you can feel again. So the next thing is addiction. Like again, if I'm like pressing away a certain emotion, I have to compensate for it. And that's a bit like the same thing as the mind chatter. For example, if I use my phone, a phone is a super addicting device. If I don't want to feel my body, like an easy way for me to do that is to like project project my attention away from the body, like cut it off from my head, and project it into the phone, for example, or into whatever I'm consuming. And in that way, I create more distance towards the actual feeling. So the tension that you feel is what you don't want to experience. And in that tension, you find what you look for. Why is that? So we just experienced all the ways where you push the tension away. If you catch yourself like exhibiting one of these behaviors, you can now like ask yourself, okay, what is the relationship I have to my body right now? Am I in a good contact with my body? And is there maybe something within here that I have a hard time allowing, that I have a hard time being with? Because we're not only suppressing the pain, we're also suppressing the wisdom that is in that pain, that is almost compressed into that pain. And the thing, what happens if we access the tension in our body, when we learn to be with it, when we learn to notice it, it turns into emotion. It turns into like a melody that is starting to sing again. It turns into a flow that is flowing again. And into that flow, we want to tune ourselves in. And that is oftentimes an experience of great beauty, great relief, and a feeling of life is flowing again. You can really tell, like, if you're, like, let's imagine you've pressed all of your energy up here because this is what you don't want to experience. Your mind is constantly trying to solve itself. It's constantly trying to solve one thought with another thought. And it's sort of looking for the solution in the same room over and over again. And it's like, no, you looked there already. If you had found the solution in the room that you're looking for it already, then you wouldn't have the problem. So what do you want to do instead? You want to change the room that you're looking in. And usually the room of the mind is, especially if you're ruminating, especially if you're caught like in numbness and in projection, is usually not the place to look for. It's the body. And the ability to allow and to build a relationship with whatever is happening in the body, like the degree to which you can build a relationship with that is the degree to which you access the gold that is hidden in the tension. It's almost like a treasure trove that is closed, and it's like deep down in the ocean, deep down in the unconscious, deep down in the various layers of your body. And if you access that, you find there's gold. But around that treasure trove, there's like sharks, there's like various like sea monsters and all of that. And you are not courageous enough to dive down towards that treasure trove, open it, and get the gold home, because you think these monsters that are there are going to devour you. But the thing is, if you dive down with the torch of consciousness, with the torch of love, with the torch of light and acceptance, and you even have acceptance towards the monsters that live within you, they won't attack you. They may even protect you. They may even start to fight on your side. And that is what healing is ultimately about. It's making peace with what we find most unacceptable within us. This is true for character traits and values and all of these things, but also for tension, for pain and emotions in our body. It's about healing the relationship with them. It's not about healing the emotion. It's about healing the relationship within them. And then we find out something really, really magical, and that is that our shadow is not only consisting of pain, but it's also consisting of gold. And the pain and the gold, they're coexisting already. So there's gold in the pain, and there's also pain in the gold. What we want to look at now is that once you get in touch with the tension in your body, and once you get in touch with with the various mechanisms that keep that tension at bay, and you really start relating to that, you really start softening to that, you start understanding the story, you start understanding the need that was met, and that led to that protective layer being created. When you really understand that, there's a softening happening, and the demon that you were in touch with transforms. This is like sort of a Beauty and the Beast story. Like the beast is transformed once the feminine, like the relational quality within us, the anima, is made conscious, is more and more integrated. And thus we can start build a relationship with the monsters within us, and that makes them transform. So it's not like monstrous destructiveness anymore. Maybe it's a feeling of strength, that it's a part of you that is fighting for something, not only against something, but for something. And maybe the tension within you, the tension that you have a hard time allowing within yourself, is protecting something that's meaningful. Maybe the tension within you cares really, really deeply. And that care, you are cutting off in the moments where you don't care for the tension. The part that is simultaneously, showing up as tension already is embodying that care, in that scenario. And we're not changing the part necessarily, we're changing our relationship to that part so the part can feel safe again and is thus transforming by itself. This is what we want to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then leave a comment. Let's have a chat in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.